Hello everyone, I'm here to bring an urgent message of a prophetic date, a time and season in the year 2024. So why do I so strongly believe that 2024 is going to be the next prophetic year? And within this prophetic year, there's going to be some events that's going to take place. But how did I come up with this conclusion? Okay, this started with the solar eclipse in August 21st of 2017. So the solar eclipse, which passed through from Oregon all the way down to South Carolina across the United States, going from left to right. So why is this solar eclipse so important and so significant? So many people that study astronomy believe that this was a prophetic sign in the skies going on from August until September in the year of 2017. However, I'm not very versed in astronomy, but I will give you the things that I found and the confirmations that were given to me. So Luke 21 verse 25 says, "There will be signs in the sun, in the moon, and the stars, and on the earth dismay among nations." So remember, in ancient times, people used stars for navigation. Not only for navigation while they were at sea, but people also used stars, the sun and the moon, to tell time, to mark down dates and months. People who really study this analyze the stars and the constellations in order to try to receive information for potential prophetic dates and prophetic events. But like I said, I'm not very versed in astronomy, but let me give you some of the things that I found. So this article was written in June 23rd, 2017. So the first very intriguing thing about the solar eclipse was that this was a total solar eclipse, and it was the first one in about 99 years in the United States. And this is the first one in the 21st century. The path of totality on August 21st, where day briefly becomes night, will pass over Oregon, continue throughout the heartland of all the way to Charleston, South Carolina. Those on the outskirts all the way into Canada, Central America, and even upper part of South America will be treated to a partial eclipse. The last time a solar eclipse swept the whole width of the US was in the year of 1918. Now again, this was the path of the total solar eclipse from Portland, Oregon to South Carolina. So remember, we haven't had a total solar eclipse that swept through this country in almost 100 years. So this one here is different and unique and is special because in the year 2024, there's a second solar eclipse. In the year of 2024, there is a second total solar eclipse. So again, this is the path of the second total solar eclipse in the year 2024. Now you might be saying, okay, what's the significance of this? Well, in 2017, it was the first solar eclipse in the 21st century in almost 100 years. Now there is a second one coming exactly 7 years after the first one on April 8th, 2024. We see a second solar eclipse, which is 7 years prior from the first total solar eclipse, and before that 100 years. So this in itself is significant because it is a phenomenon. Most people will see a solar eclipse maybe once in their whole lifetime. Some people have never seen a total solar eclipse in their lifetime because the last one in the United States was about 99 years ago. So this itself is a phenomenon. It's also a phenomenon because it is 7 years apart from each other. So we know according to the Bible that the number 7 is a very significant number. So the number 7 signifies the number of completion and the number of perfection. You may hear people say things as lucky 7. In Scripture, 7 often symbolize completion or perfection. Genesis tells us that God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, and upon completion, God rested on the seventh day. Based on this cycle of rest, God commands us to also labor for 6 days and then complete the week by resting on the seventh day. The day of God set us apart as the holy Sabbath. So, this is the understanding that we receive through the Bible, that the number 7 is the number of completion and perfection. And the number 7 within itself coincides with the world, as we see here the 7 seas, or the 7 golden lampstand, which was in the book of Exodus and also in the book of Revelation. Or what about the beast with 7 heads? Or the slain lamb according to the book of Revelation that represents the Spirit of Christ with 7 eyes and 7 horns? Or the 7 deadly seals according to the book of Revelation that follows by the 7 trumpets. The point I'm trying to show you and make is that the number 7, it's a very powerful and significant number in the spiritual realm as well as the physical. So in the perfect 7 years, we see April 8th, 2024, a second eclipse which is passing, which starts from Canada, Montreal, and goes all the way through down into Texas. So if you take both 2017 and 2024 total solar eclipse, this is the image that you get. So when both paths of these solar eclipse cross, this is exactly what you get. So yes, an X can mean many different things. Some people will say X marks the spot. Some people will say it's a symbol for evil because you can excommunicate somebody or X somebody out, So there's many significance with the X. But the reason why this one is very special because you're seeing two, once in a lifetime phenomenons in a span of 7 years. So I remember just being very excited about this, and I didn't even know why. So I went into prayer, and I began to ask the Lord, what does this sign mean? This has to mean something. It has to represent something. And the word of the Lord came to me in the spirit, and I heard the words, Passover. I am marking my people. Passover. I am marking my people. So if you don't know the story of Passover, let me give you a quick brief explanation. You see, the children of Israel were suffering slavery and affliction in the land of Egypt. And God was getting ready to deliver Moses and the Israelites out of the hands of Pharaoh. God has been hitting Egypt with many plagues. And the Lord was getting ready to strike Egypt with something severe. So he commanded all the Israelites to slay a ram and pour the blood of the ram over your doorposts. So when the angel of death was to pass over, it will not come into your house. Exodus 12 verse 29 reads, And it came to pass at midnight, the Lord struck all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on his throne to the firstborn of the captive who was in the dungeon, all the firstborn of the livestock. So Pharaoh rose in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. So this was an act of God for vengeance, for not only when Pharaoh slayed all of the Hebrew firstborn sons, ages of 0 to 2, but this was also an act of vengeance upon Pharaoh for not allowing the children of Israel to go free. In order for you to be safe in this time, the blood of the lamb or the ram had to be on your home, your house, or your doorstep. And this is the word that the Lord was giving me, was that this was a Passover and God was going to be marking his people. And oftentimes that mark means a mark of protection, which possibly means that shortly after this, something may be coming. Another interesting fact about this solar eclipse is the date itself, which is 4/8/2024. It's almost a perfect date, all even numbers, all multiples of 2, and all multiples of 4. What's also significant and interesting with the word that the Most High Yah gave me about the word of Passover during the solar eclipse is that the month of April is the month that Passover is always often celebrated. As we see here in this chart, Monday, April 22nd, 2024, sundown will start the celebration of Passover. So once I started really looking into this carefully and deeply, I started looking at X and where both the solar eclipses actually meet. So what I find out in the year 2017 and the year 2024, where the crosses of these two eclipses is actually right here. They actually coincide or cross right here in a city or a town called Carbondale, Illinois, which is south of Illinois. Remember, X marks the spot. So I said, why out of all places, Carbondale, Illinois? So I began to look into the history of Carbondale, Illinois, and why out of all places, this random town that I never heard of is where X marks the spot. And it reads, Carbon, Illinois is a city in Jackson County, Illinois, United States, within southern Illinois region, informally known as Little Egypt. Yes, southern Illinois, Carbondale, Illinois, was known as a region or area called Little Egypt. Now, there's different stories into the reason why it was actually called Little Egypt. One story is because it was the center of education. Another story is people fled to that region because of famines. And they even had a city in this region called Cairo, named after a city originally in Egypt. So this is where the X coincides or marks the spot. Is this region area right here called Little Egypt. This region, Little Egypt, has also a well-known history for harvesting slaves. So this right here will actually confirm that the word of the Lord given me. He told me, Passover, I am marking my people. I have two witnesses that I witnessed to about this word in 2017. It was a brother named Travis and another brother named Shine. I told them that this was what it meant. It meant that God was marking his people. And finally this year, once I began to look more into it, this is what I found out about Carbondale that would confirm the word that God has given me. Let's think about it. Let's think about this for a second. The Lord giving me the word that this was Passover. He was marking his people. This eclipse is a perfect 7 years apart. 7 means the number of completion, the number of perfection. The second eclipse takes place in the month of Passover of 2024. Both 2017 and 2024 eclipses coincide or cross over from each other in a city named Carbondale, Illinois, which was also known as Little Egypt. Coincidence? Now we know right now there is a major election taking place in 2020. So Biden, who is in the lead right now, looks like he may become president. But Trump in his campaign has filed multiple lawsuits to make sure that he's not being cheated and stays in the presidency fairly. Regardless who becomes president at this time, there will be presidents until the year 2024 when this eclipse happens over America. So what is the Lord possibly trying to show us or tell us here? Is the prophecies about Babylon the Great, also known as Egypt, coming to an end? Will there be major prophetic events that will be taking place within the next 4 years, regardless who becomes president, from the year 2020 to 2024? At this time, will the Most High Yah be marking all of his children from protection from a potential plague? or natural disaster? What is going to happen at this time frame in the year 2024? I pray that you, your household, is marked by the Most High Yah by the time this solar eclipse happens. Because if I'm right, we can see shortly after major events happening. And we don't need to wait till 2024 to see what happens. All we need to do is see what's happening right now on the earth and right now in this country. Now I don't have the details to what exactly is going to happen around this time frame. We're just going to have to see. But I pray and hope that you're marked by this time. Because in my spirit, I can feel that these next 4 years are going to be something amazing in at biblical proportions. Peace.